Welcome back to another exciting week of Psych Thoughts. We can't really understand why you keep clicking play, but you do. So that's pretty amazing. Thank you for that. Don't forget, if you like what we do on Psych Thoughts, to subscribe to our channel and share with your friends. You can find us on social media, on the Instagram, on the Twitter, and on the Facebooks. You can find us there. Usually Psych Thoughts, and look for people who look about like us, and you can't go wrong. Don't forget, you can always send us your questions. If you happen to have a psychology or not psychology related question, feel free to do that at psychthoughts@tntech.edu. That's psychthoughts@tentech.edu. I'm Derek, and I'm joined, as always, by my best friend and co-host. His name is
Doug. Hey, Derek, it's good to see y'all. It's a wonderful time to be alive, I guess. That's my cherry thought for the day.
It doesn't get any better than that. Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
For those who have been following Psych Thoughts since we were a radio show, you know that on occasion we have an intern. And on occasion we don't let our intern leave. Even when she graduates, she decides she still wants to be on the show, which is great because we don't have to pay her. Her name's Elaine. Elaine, say hi.
Hi. And I can't follow up Doug's intro, so, I'll just give up now.
And bringing us next level Zoom features, such as the clap emoji. You've seen her before on Psych Thoughts. She's become a staple of Psych Thoughts. Not only can she do a great Chewy impression, but she's probably the smartest one on the show. And her name is Dr. Nicole Henniger. Hello, Dr. Henniger.
Hi, everyone.
Fun fact about Dr. Henniger, since the last time you've seen her, she is now married.
Woohoo!
So stop sending me emails if Dr. is available. She's not. All right. So I get it. Your other options are me or Doug, and you can't have Elaine, because then she'll get tired of being an intern. So stop sending me.
That'd make us mad.
She does.
So congratulations.
Hair, though. Can we take a second to talk about Elaine's hair?
Well, let's do that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I have to say, Doug and I were talking before Derek joined us, and he's like, "Did you do your hair?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I know it looks like a burgundy or maroon in the camera, but it's actually like a dark pink, purple color." And he's like, "Do you think Derek will notice?" I said, "Of course he'll notice." And Doug's like, "I don't think so."
So why wouldn't I notice that?
Because I know you so well, because when stuff like that happens, now he'll agree with this as I tell the story. Okay. When we see stuff like that, I'll look at him and he'll go, "Don't you say a word. Don't say a word."
Fair. I do agree. I notice a lot more than I bring to light, right?
And I notice stuff and say something.
I will say I dyed my hair that same color before this happened.
And it all comes out.
Be careful. It happened like that,
Well, I'm okay for a minute.
Yeah, you've got enough to last a lifetime.
My husband said he'll still love me if I'm bald-headed, so we're good.
Perfect.
Aww.
Today's episode, we're gonna Dr. Henniger, this is called New Marriage. They'll always love you. It's older marriage. That's where it gets
about
sketchy.
That.
I don't know anything about that. Doug, do you?
Show.
I ain't saying anything. She's recording.
Yeah.
Don't say anything that can be held against you.
That's right. I know how this works.
So that's old marriage.
As something that we like to do on the show, we like to take articles that are interesting to us. They come from a magazine or from a journal or from something. We've been on a theme for the last couple of weeks, and we'll continue that theme this week. Today's topic comes to us from Psychology Today, and it's going to be a fun topic, a topic that Doug knows really well, excellently.
Really I know a lot about it.
He probably knows more about this topic than anyone if you would just ask him.
I will.
What is the topic, Doug?
Sex addiction. So
Wrong episode.
Go 3 episodes back if you want to see that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about narcissism. And we're going to hopefully separate a little bit about narcissism from some fact from fiction type stuff. We are a culture where we love to pathologize normal human experience. So odds are good you've accused someone of being a narcissist. Odds are also good you've been accused of being a narcissist. And if you've never been accused of that, you probably are a narcissist. So that's an exciting thing. When I say narcissism, Dr. Henniger, what comes to your brain other than Doug?
Somebody who is selfish and kind of psychopathic.
Nice. I said other than Doug.
Oh, darn. I don't know. My prototype.
I am the GOAT of Intro to Psych.
Oh, dear. Elaine, what comes to your brain when you think narcissism?
I honestly, I did my my senior thesis partially on narcissism, and I've been accused of it. I've previously accused people of it that probably weren't in that category, but then I've learned a lot of people that, not a lot of people, but a couple of people I do know actually do fit in that category. But it's just, there are different levels that I learned in abnormal psychology with Dr. Edwards, that there are different types of narcissists as well.
Now, do they call him Dr. McSteamy or Dr. McDreamy? I can't remember. I thought so, yeah. I consulted, as well as Elaine, thank you for giving me this prop, our lovely reference text here,
Nice.
the Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5th edition, every clinician's best friend, right? If you're interested in knowing more about the DSM, go to school, and that'll be good.
You can get your own.
You could get your own, and then you could diagnose all of your family at Christmas, and that will be the last time they ask you to come to Christmas. So that'll be a nice little benefit maybe for some of you. So diagnostic criteria, you're going to have 5 or more of the following. All right. So get someone in your brain right now, right? If you're watching right now, I want you to get someone in your brain that makes you, it's the person you were thinking of when I said narcissist, right? And let's see if they cut mustard. Do they have a grandiose sense of self-importance? Do they exaggerate achievements, talents, expect others to recognize their superiority? Or are they grandiose, right? So let's check maybe yes or no. And then keep a list. Remember, we're going to want 5 of these.
What do you mean by that? Do you mean that they're like overweight or something?
That's a different type of grand.
Oh, okay.
I think that's pronounced grande.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go
All
on.
right, it's simple mistake.
I'm sorry. It's been a while. Okay.
So number 2, are they preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love? Now that's a hard one to know about someone, right? To know if they're constantly thinking about something. But if they're thinking about it, they might be doing this thing called talking about it, right?
So let me ask the question. What exactly would be ideal love?
Well, clearly it's the love I can give someone
that
other people can't. You know?
I didn't know that ideal love would be like I find someone that's a supermodel that's rich and wants to give me all of her money.
What's wrong with that?
That's the way I live.
That's what I did. It worked out excellent.
Worked out fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not even working.
About that criteria though. So like, what does it mean? So it's what does it mean to be too much, or what's the cutoff for? Like,
yeah,
I'm concerned with success and building.
See, this is where psychology
and like, what is it? When is it too much to be imagining what you want?
So this is when psychology and counseling start to butt heads, right? Because the psychologist in you, Dr. Henniger, is like, I need an answer. And it needs to be well-defined, operationally defined, and it better be measurable. And the counselor in me is like, it's too much.
Right. What does that mean?
Well, now, at what point, now this is, when we talk about it, at what point do you go, I am just very confident in myself that I'm not, self-centered, that I am a narcissist?
I'm going to give you the cop-out counselor answer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
When it gets in the way of your current functioning, it's too much. Right? So when we're looking at anything, a disordered, right? So disordered type thinking. If it gets in the way of you achieving, if it gets in the way of any domain in your life, then it's probably too much. If you're so overwhelmed with a need for success that you're sabotaging relationships that you don't think can benefit you, that's not working, right? That's probably too much. But that's different for different people, right? So again, you're going to see counseling versus psychology round 3. This is going to be great.
It'd be kind of like someone who goes, I need to move out of an office so I can get a better job and people respect me better.
And it worked. I don't see the problem. Look, the Jeffersons taught us that it's okay to move on up. All right. I didn't go east. I went a little bit north, but I moved on up. Right.
Almost to a corner.
I didn't go to a corner.
Almost to a corner.
Almost to the corner doesn't count. That's ridiculous.
Okay. All
right. Number 3. Believes that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other people of their status.
Doug.
I don't know if I'd want to associate with people of my same status.
There is no one of your same status, according to me.
I think this is one of those things that is another one of those scales somewhere in this continuum, right? Because we are in a generation where we have told all children that they are special, unique, and wonderful. And it's a lie. We know it. Their parents know it way down deep if they would just acknowledge it. We aren't that unique or we're not that special, right? We're just people. And people are people. It's okay. It's okay to just be a people. You don't have to be a unicorn. They're not even real. Trigger warning. Sorry about that. You can just be you. And that'll be great.
I have to disagree with you because I've got 9,000 likes on my Instagram that says different.
I like this. Has to associate with high status people or institutions. If you drive a Mercedes, you can still call it a car, right? You don't have to tell your friends, would you like to take a ride in the Mercedes? You can say you want to go for a ride in a car. And one of those things would say, in my brain as a therapist, you're narcissistic. And the other one would say, you have a car. You could figure out which is which. I think the same thing is true about like high-end ski boats, right? I don't know if you've ever been on a really high-end ski boat. They're really fun, I guess. I don't own one because I'm a therapist. But what I could say is it's still a boat, right? You don't have to tell me we're going to go out on the Mastercraft, right? I don't care. We're going to go out on a boat. And it's going to be fine. Right now, there's going to be people that hate us, and they're probably pulling their Mastercraft to a lake with a Mercedes. And you should know that Psychthoughts isn't for you to start with. So you want something more highbrow. We're from Tennessee Tech. We're not even the SEC. So what you're looking for is something a little different.
Hey, but I'll be glad to go with you in the Mercedes to the lake. So.
Yeah, no, Doug is all about that. You're good.
I am all about that.
Number 4. Requires excessive admiration. Somebody please tell me how great I am.
You're great.
Thank you.
You're all right.
That's good stuff.
I think that's a pretty good compliment coming from her. I mean, I've heard her talk of what she's done. And if she goes, you're all right, that means that you know, in other rounds, you'd be way up here.
Be a lot like John Wayne saying, you're pretty okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody who helicopters onto an aircraft carrier to do surveys. Yeah, if I'm just all right, we're
just
okay.
all right. You know?
Yeah,
Amazing, Derrick. You're amazing.
Too late for that.
No, what did the class call him?
Oh, what did they call you? What did I say they called you?
McDreamy is what you said.
Yeah.
McDreamy.
All right, number 5, has a sense of entitlement. We just described an entire generation of people, which is pretty exciting. Unreasonable expectations, especially favorable treatment. Doug, did you get any fun emails from students about grades?
Not this semester. Well, I did get that one that I told you about.
I like that one.
Can
you share
favorite.
that one a little bit?
Okay. Final grades were turned in. Let's say final grades were turned in Monday of this week, whenever you're watching this. This is like Wednesday. I had a student to email me like on a Friday after everything's said and done, go, hey, I went back and did some of those surveys, so that should help my grade. I'm like, that's done. That's close. It doesn't count now.
So when Doug and I were both teaching general psychology, we shared an office. All was right in the world in those times, by the way. I mean, there was a grounding place. People would come to the office just to sit and listen. That's how we met Elaine, you know, it was pretty amazing. But students would come in at the end of the semester and they would say, listen, I only need you to give me 2 points. And when we would tell them that the 2 points they were asking for was really 24 points based on some really simple math, they would still say it's only 2 points. Like, obviously they deserve that. I did have a mother call me once. I evidently gave their child a grade. In other words, I looked at their final grade and recorded it in another screen. And mom called me and said, you don't understand. I was like, okay. And we'll just say that his name was Doug because that helps, right? Doug was an Eagle Scout. And I was like, all right. Doug teaches Bible class. I'm like, okay. Doug doesn't get an F. And I was like, Doug doesn't come to class. Like, Doug's getting an F. You know, that's that sense of entitlement that I think parents bring it on. Again, if you're out there and you're watching and you're a parent, your kid's not that special, and it's okay. But that's good. Like, it's fine. Like, they're going to get, like, human stuff. Like, they'll go to, like, a regular type life, which is perfect. That's what you're wanting for them.
He's brutal.
Did the other two of you ever get calls from parents about
I've never had a parent contact me. Knock on wood that now it's going to happen, but
Yeah.
I've never had that happen.
Derek's had quite a few run-ins with. I've never had it. I've just had students. I had one student trace me down one summer who just wanted me to give them enough points that they made a D. And they irritated me so much that I finally just looked at him and said, well, how many points do you need? And he looked at me straight face and went, 32.
That's a lot of points.
Get a D?
To get a D.
Get a D.
That's a lot of points.
Now, Derek had, you had the guy that the father that emailed you and told you that, you know, his son was an honor student and all this stuff. And
I had mom with the Eagle Scout. Dad was an honor student who called. I had a student call Miss Honeycutt and ask for my cell phone number. And when she said no, he got mad at her that she wouldn't give out my cell phone number. So she calls me and she goes, do you want them to have your phone number? I was like, no, I don't want them to have my phone number.
I'm
good
sure
stuff.
If my parents called, they would tell you that you gave me too high a grade. So I think it offsets it. My parents just don't call.
I have a psychologist question though. So what makes it unreasonable? So where's the line, or how do we define what makes something unreasonable? Because there's also a trend, I think, where we see more reasonable sort of higher expectations for accommodation, you know, so thinking about caring about people as individuals and what their individual needs are, that I think this generation has given us as a good thing more than previous generations had, where, you know, it's just life is tough and you just have to be tough or you're not going to make it. So what's the line? I agree that that's unreasonable expectations, but where does it fall?
You probably won't like my answer.
No, don't do it.
The line is pretty low to me, right? I think reasonable accommodations are things that we can't help, but also things that don't infringe upon the reasonable expectations that others will be treated with equity. And I know I'm going to make people mad with this, so this is just my opinion. This isn't going to reflect the opinion of Elaine, Doug, or Dr. Henniger, nor Tennessee Tech University or the Department of Counseling Psychology.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are you sure you want to say this?
No. I like to go to hibachi restaurants. I think they're really, really good, right? And most all of you know where I'm going with this. You're at a hibachi, and you know that there's going to be rice, there's going to be eggs, and there's going to be soy sauce over everything. But ultimately, someone's going to sit down and they're going to say, oh, I can't have any of that, so you can't cook that here. And I didn't get a choice to sit with them or not. I just have my hibachi meal altered because they need their hibachi meal altered. And I don't mind that I'm not going to shame them for having a food allergy or sensitivity, but that's not a reasonable expectation, right? I don't do well hiking. I probably shouldn't make a Sherpa carry me up Mount Everest. That's not a reasonable expectation. My bar tends to be pretty low with a lot of things. And I'd get into more, but then people would hate me even more.
Here comes the hate mail.
Yeah.
Ooh, we used to on the radio show, used to want to get hate mail, and we never would. So
maybe
yeah,
now.
I've got a lot more that aren't so good. Dogs in restaurants. Mm-mm. You know, it bothers me a lot.
But I have dogs in my house, and I eat in my house.
Doesn't bother me at all. I have dogs in my house. They eat with me. Doesn't bother me. But I will not take my dog to the Waffle House. I tell you that much.
What about children in restaurants?
what
Yeah,
age?
yeah.
I don't have children in my house.
No.
I would prefer not to eat with children.
There are restaurants that have the no kids policy. I love them. I think they're great. Right? Because you're not going to see me take my kids at a 5-star restaurant. One thing, I'm a therapist. I can't afford it. Two, people in there don't need to hear my kids yelling about wanting mac and cheese when they're trying to eat an Oscar-style filet. Like, they just need to – I need to not have my kids there. That's going to be okay. So I do hold myself to that same low standard. Oh, I've made people mad. Here we go. What's wrong, Doug?
About what? I'm just the opposite. I just, you can, if I was at the hibachi restaurant and you go, oh, I can't eat that, I'd be like, well, I hate that for you. I'd keep on eating. So
I save you from it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm from the camp. I just don't care.
Yeah. So your bar is even lower than mine. What about you, Nicole? Where's yours? How's reasonable?
Well, I mean, I'm a millennial, so I guess mine's kind of high as far as like, if it's not the core thing of what we're trying to do. So like for a class, yes, you have to have gone to class and to do work and to learn the material. But if you need something to learn the material that's not a standard part of the class, then there is a balance. I mean, of course, I can't do 10 jobs. I can't spend an extra 10 hours every week doing something. But if there's an easy accommodation, sure, fine. And if you want your dog in a restaurant, yeah, that seems fine. That's not, I mean, people are dirtier than dogs are sometimes. So like, where's the, again, children as an example. In a Waffle House, I think kids, dogs, they're just all mixed together.
I miss when the
pretty much at the Waffle House.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I'm
on a plane and there's a dog in the seat next to me. Like, that's great. There's a dog I get to pet now.
Well, the great thing about having a dog in the seat next to you is he's not going to tell you his life story either.
Exactly.
That's a fair point.
And they don't mind if I take both armrests.
I had a student who had a reasonable accommodation, is what it was called. And her accommodation was that she may miss up to 70% of my classes because she had a chronic medical, which that's fine, whatever. But she was going to school to be a therapist. And I think we have to at some point say, you're not going to make it as a therapist. If I don't show up to a session, that's actually a problem. It's called abandonment, right? It's a malpractice claim. I can't not show up to session. So I think we have to be careful with these accommodations that we're not giving false information to people. If you can't consistently meet with people, you can't be a therapist.
I think that's a counselor talking, right? Because you have the gatekeeping part of your degree programs. Like for a psychologist, if I give you a psychology degree, you can't do anything with it anyway, so it's no big deal.
No. Erase that part. Elaine, edit.
Like you're gonna need some grad school, and when you get to grad school to be a therapist or to be a researcher or whatever it is, like that's where the gatekeeping occurs. But I think it's a different perspective on like, well, if you can learn the material in my class, even if you're never able to use it, you're never able to go on to be whatever it is I'm teaching you to be, you still have learned the things in the class, even if you never came to class, given that that was a reasonable accommodation that was so I think there's a difference when it's a professional degree versus a, psychology degree.
So, to bring this all the way back around to that subject that we started, 40 minutes ago, I think what we're saying is it pays to know your limitations, what you can and can't do. Now, if you're a narcissist, you think, I can do it all and I can do it great. I think we agree that some people get to a point that they have to realize, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. There's a lot of things I would like to do, but there's things that I know in my head I can't do.
Right.
Okay. And so I think that's one of the things I do in my developmental class is I have them to write out and tell me why it's good to know your limitations. Why is it good for you to know, okay, this is what I can do, and I'm not saying that, people can learn. I mean, okay, I'll give you an example. My example, I love the cello and I researched it. I bought one. I took lessons. I've been practicing. And right now, after 2.5 years, I can play Twinkle, Twinkle. And that's it. Okay.
Not even the little star, just the twinkle, twinkle.
Not even the little star part. So I know that I'm never going to go, I'm going to play awesome one of these days. But, I don't fool myself, but I still work at it. But that's not going to be a way I'm going to make my living.
There's nothing wrong with limitations. I don't know why we make it such a bad thing. I'm, believe it or not, full grown. And most of you have never seen me, right? I'm not a tall person. And I came from a great family, but my mama couldn't love me enough to put me in the NBA. It's not going to work. Think of the shortest NBA player. They're still towering over me. I can't touch the net with a boost, right? It's not going to work. Limitations are fine. It's a part of who we are, but we have to accept that about ourselves so that we can then explore different parts. And the narcissist, Doug, to your point, absolutely can't do that. Let's go through the rest of these criteria really quick. They're grandiose, preoccupied with limited success, believes they're special, requires excessive admiration, sense of entitlement. This is a new one, number 6, interpersonally exploitive. So they take advantage of people for their own gain. They use people. They're users, right? Number 7, lack empathy. They don't understand why you feel the way you feel. They certainly don't feel that either. When they use you, it doesn't hurt them, right? Most of us have a reasonable amount of shame that we're able to feel, right? We get pricked when we feel it. That's good. We want to feel shame. They are envious of others and believe others are envious of them. And last, they're arrogant. They have arrogant, haughty behaviors or attitudes. So how did that person you were thinking of stack up? Are they a narcissist or not?
Okay, I'm going to say I was thinking of Jeff from Community, because now that Community is on Netflix, we've been watching it. And so he meets at least 5 of those criteria, but also does not meet some. So I would think Jeff does have empathy, actually. He tries to act like he doesn't, and then he does. So is it okay if you absolutely do not have one of those things? If you go against the type, you just have to have 5?
For a period of time, too. So I think that's another thing that all these things, when we talk about in general, when we talk about abnormal behavior, I always tell them that, yes, these are very easy diagnoses that you can read, but you got to keep in mind, you have to have these symptoms for X amount of time, and you have to show them. So go ahead.
Okay. So is it fair to say that somebody that suffers from narcissism, that they're going to have that exalted belief in themselves no matter what you say or no matter what really happens? I mean, they could flunk a psychology exam and then come back and say, well, I'm the best student ever. It doesn't matter what that exam says or what a person says, they're going to still, I mean, self-confidence is one thing, but thinking you're the greatest, it's usually an extreme thing, it would seem.
So we look at personality disorders as having 3 distinct levels. And the kind of the person that you're talking about there, Elaine, is either a level 2 or a level 3. And we describe this as anyone with a personality disorder puts you into a role. It's your job. So if you're dealing with someone who's narcissistic, your job is to shine on them, right? To let the world know how great they are. And their job is to be a wonderful and be amazing at most things. And if you confront them, they're going to escalate the behavior, right? So think about kids. You know you're treating the right behavior in the counseling room when the parent comes in the next week and said, Timmy was a nightmare this week. And then you're like, perfect. That means we're doing what we need to be doing, right? That behavior starts to escalate. But a level 1 personality disorder, they'll then readjust. So they'll actually gain some awareness. They can grow this muscle a little bit. Now, a level 2, they're going to escalate, and then they're going to either leave you or you're going to leave them, but they're not going to change, right? They're going to stay firm in this belief. They might get on Rate My Professor and talk about how awful Doug was, and then write an IDA evaluation about how it's his fault. And then they might change their major and tell everyone in sociology that those idiots in psychology had no idea what they were doing. And that's like a level 2 type person. But a level 3 type person, when they're confronted with that, they either kill themselves or kill you, right? It's how many people know. These are very dangerous type people. Because if they're aware that they have this vulnerability about them, they can't tolerate it. So yeah, there's 3 levels.
Well, I just chose to show you and pulls it out. I am not narcissistic. Histrionic, maybe, but not narcissistic.
We want to take a moment to say thank you to Dr. Henniger for joining us on Psych Thoughts like she does so frequently. It means the world to us. And again, congratulations on your marriage. We know that he is a lucky man for sure. And if he's out there watching, if you hurt her, they'll never find your body. We also want to say thank you to our wonderful intern, Elaine. We appreciate what you do. This is Psych Thoughts. This is what we do. We do this because we care a little bit about you. Don't forget to share our videos, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We look forward to seeing you really soon. See ya.
Bye.